Hey everyone, Mekka here. Today I'm going to tell you how you can submit characters for the sequel to Shadow Dragon but better, which is of course New Mystery of the Emblem, Heroes of Light and Shadow but better. I've already mentioned a couple times in my Let's Play that I'm doing this. Shadow Dragon but better has gotten way more attention than I thought any Shadow Dragon Let's Play would, and so I thought, let's just make another. I've already opened up submissions for my highest tier patrons, the S tiers and the A tiers, and since most of my patrons are in the B tier, I thought I'd make this video before I open up submissions there. I've already written all this out for the S and the A tiers, so if you already read this post and you see in the background here, then all I'm really going to be doing is read it out, and if you've already read it, then you're done. You can do something else if you want. But if you prefer listening over reading, then here you go. I'll save you some reading, and since all of you subscribe to my YouTube channel and on my book club, there's probably a fair amount of you. Now, this big chunk of text makes it look like a very complicated process, but it can be as simple as replace Luke with Ford. That's it. That's all you have to do. Please don't actually replace Luke with Ford. I hate Ford, but it can be that simple. Some people submitted like entire analysis and ideas. Some people just submitted, replace this character with that character, and that's it. That's all you did, and that's good. If you want it to be less simple and more interesting, well, that's what we're here for. So let's take a look at the steps that we have to take to submit a character. First of all, you have to be a patron. Of course, link is in the description. Thank you so much for everyone who supports me. If you're a patron, then what you should do is take a look at the massive roster that this game has. There are 71 characters, I think, if I counted, maybe 77, but in the 70s, so there's plenty of room. I'm hoping to replace everyone eventually, and even if I don't manage it, I'm sure we'll have enough to go around and swap units in between. But just pick any units except for Marth and my unit, the Avatar character Chris. You can't pick them. They're going to stay the way they are, but everyone else is going to change. Or at least I'm aiming to have everyone else change. So pick a character to replace, and then pick a character that you want in the game, and that can be anyone. So I gave some examples of units that are in multiple games. If you're picking one of these kind of units, the Finns, the Titanias, Annas, Tikis, specify their origin game. You can be as creative as you want. You can pick bosses, you can pick, someone submitted an Awakening Einharjar character already, so you can do anything you want really. As long as I have something to work with, I'll try and make it something interesting. There is a spreadsheet that I've made that shows what's already been taken so that you can check if it's already been done. I'm not going to show that in this video because I know some people want to remain unspoiled. And if I notice that you're trying to replace a character or you're trying to put in a character that's already been taken, I'll reply to your comment on Patreon. By the way, submit them on the Patreon, like on the comment section here. But yeah, that's where you can check if it's already been taken. But if it hasn't been, I'll just reply to you on Patreon, or if I talk to you on Discord ever, I'll just DM you on Discord like, hey, your character's already taken. Do you mind if I do something else? Again, there's like 70-something units. So let's say you try to replace, again, I'll just use Luke as an example. Say you try to replace Luke. Luke is already taken, but Rhodey's still free. I'll just tell you, hey, is Rhodey fine too? They have the same availability, so it will work out to be almost the exact same thing. S tier and A tier patrons are allowed to request a personal weapon, a PRF weapon for their character. You can customize it however you like, but I reserve the right to change it a bit for balance reasons. Of course, this doesn't apply to B tier or C tier, or I think I have patrons that are not technically in those tiers, but still submitted like a less than $5 per month, which is still welcome, by the way. This is not obligatory, but you can do it. If you missed the submissions for S and A tier, don't worry, it's still open. Just mention in your comment that you're an S tier and A tier and you missed the previous opportunity to submit, and I'll make sure to give you priority because it is first come, first serve when most people submit for the same character to be in. But yeah, you can request a personal weapon. Of course, if you submit like a 100 might infinite use brave weapon, I might have to tinker with it a little bit. But so far, the suggestions have been reasonable, and some people just don't do it at all. So don't feel obligated to think of a personal weapon if you don't feel like it. I want to take care of all the design process if you don't feel like it. Step 3, because we already went through the first 2 steps. If you have additional ideas for how you want to do it, basically, how you want to, put the unit in, what you want to change about them a little bit, feel free to tell me about it. And again, if you don't feel like it, if you just want to, replace Rhodey with Kieran, there you go, that's all you have to do. So things I've done in the past to like mess with units a little bit, reference previous units. I've had units model their stats after the units that they're replacing, such as for Roger and Barst replacements in Shadow Dragon. I've changed weapon ranks. Again, I'm going to be turning off the reclassing system, but if there's like a certain reclass you want to unlock for a character, that is something I can maybe work on, although with the massive overlap between characters and classes in this game, that might not be something I can do, but that is an idea I could do. But for example, Ike having A rank axes, or Rosado having A rank axes, without those units being able to access those weapons in their unpromoted class, that is something I can do. But yeah, then you're basically done. Just put that in a reply to the thread and relax, and I'll do the rest. I might post like an update video on what I'm doing, or like an update post on what I'm doing. You can check the spreadsheet and you'll see whenever I've worked on it if you're interested in following the process a little bit. But I'll take care of the rest. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I'm going to try playing a hard 2. I think it's called Maniac mode. Hard 1 is a little bit easy and I've beaten it several times before. Hard 2 is a difficulty I've never beaten, so it'd be funny if my first playthrough in Hard 2 was using all these improvised units with no like design intention behind them beyond my own testing. Just, you know, throw the units in and see if it works or not. Reclassing will be turned off. I actually really enjoyed this in Shadow Dragon. The fact that units felt a lot more unique if they cannot reclass was a big blessing that I really enjoyed, so I'm going to do it again. And so the class that your unit has or starts in actually is significant. And these are my steps for how I go about testing them, or how I went about it in Shadow Dragon with some changes. First, I'm just gonna take the character, put it in my spreadsheet, and try to make sure that their bases line up with their original bases. If, of course, they seem too weak or too strong, then I'll think of something to change that, change 1 or 2 stats around. Of course, some stats are more impactful than others. Changing a unit's luck or skill usually doesn't make them suddenly balanced, but changing their strength or HP or their defense usually does, or giving them a good weapon, stuff like that. Changing their weapon ranks tends to be a big game changer. I'll do that for all the characters, and then I'll just look through the entire sheet as like, hey, after putting everything in, turns out that character A is just infinitely superior to character B, so what can I do to make character A a little bit stronger, or give him like some sort of a niche, or do I leave them as is and just accept that characters are going to be imbalanced? That's something I'm going to have to do with 70-something characters. And then once I've tinkered around with my first draft, I'll ask Rad, who is assisting me again, to implement them. When I say assisting, I say he does all the hacking for me. I just basically, I'm the ideas guy and he implements them, and I test them out. So I usually, what I did for last time is I implemented some cheats to make Marth have like infinite turns and high combat stats, so I could get through chapters quickly. I can check units' combats to see how they stack up against enemies. If they're doing like 3 damage, then I'll probably up their strength or give them a better weapon or something like that. And I'm going to try a little bit harder to make all units viable at base level, even if they haven't been deployed for a couple chapters, because with such a large group of units and quite a few chapters where I want to just mix up my entire army, I'll have like 1 or 2 quote-unquote Rosados that I implement, like that I use like almost all the time. But I'm going to try to swap up my army a lot in this one, just to give everyone's submissions a try, especially because there's going to be more replacements in this game than in Shadow Dragon. Shadow Dragon, there's like whole groups of units that weren't replaced at all, like Horus and the entire group that was with Medea. I don't think I have such luxury in this game if I'm gonna exchange as many characters as I had. So yeah, we're gonna have to swap up our army a lot. Swap up, swap out. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep playing the game real quick with cheats on, so it's not like super representative, but at least I can check how units are doing roughly. Change things up, test it again, do that a couple times. That's why I'm opening submissions, even though we're only at like chapter 12 in the Let's Play, or chapter 13 in the Let's Play, because there's a lot of work to do, and Rad also needs time to fix things. So yeah, that's the steps. Just repeat those steps until I'm satisfied. I haven't had a whole lot of questions, but basically, yeah, I would like to, you know, replace all the units, or most of the units at the very least. So once I'm done with the B tier, there's still a C tier that have to get their submissions in, and then I'll probably open up submissions for anyone that's not in those tiers, but still, you know, gives me money every month. Again, thank you so much. And then depending on how many have been submitted, it's hard to tell because the B tier is so big compared to the other tiers. But once everyone has submitted at least once, I'll probably give the S and maybe A tiers another go, depending on how many I think I'll need. A couple people, of course, need their own. Need to submit people. Of course, Rad is going to get to replace someone. Rin asked to replace one, so I'll let her have a go. Maybe I'll ask some other people that I know to implement a unit, and maybe I'll have one myself, and then I'll just give the patrons another go. We'll see how many tiers can have a go at that point. So I'll just carefully go through it. I'll have to play it by ear a little bit. But yeah, that's the plan. Hope you all will enjoy it. I'm very much looking forward to the Let's Play. Raisins will be co-hosting again, in case you were wondering. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for listening, watching, etc. And I'll see you next time.